gotta kind of go a little bit in depth about Big Dave Batista, because Dave Batista is somebody who I've been following his career, and I've let this be no secret. I've said it many, many times. I've been following this guy's career since he came up the main WWE roster. And if I would have had the type of access to Ohio Valley Wrestling that I do now, as far as it being online and all that, then you know what? I probably would have been rooting him on when he was in OVW, because that's really where he got his big break, you know? But I have been a fan of his ever since I saw him get paired up with Devon Dudley, and he was doing the whole Deacon Batista gimmick. And I remember telling my best friends at the time, Ebony and Brian, I said, that big son of a bitch right there, he is going to be somebody. He's going to be somebody big. I see nothing but millions of dollars in this guy's future in the WWE. And they were like, you think so? I said, yeah, I know so. That guy is definitely going to be going places. He just needs to be teamed up with the right people. And I love the fact that they had him kicking things off with Devon Dudley. But I told my friends, I said, he's got the look, he's got everything down, everything you want for in a future WWE champion. He's going to get there. And sure enough, I was right, as eventually we saw him do his thing with Evolution. And that was just pretty awesome right there. And then to see him basically break off from Evolution and he became a bona fide babyface superstar, he pretty much was carrying the hell out of SmackDown for a good moment. And I mean, you talk about good times that was going on during that period with Dave Batista. You also can't help but think about the not one, not two, but three consecutive pay-per-views back to back where he defeated Triple H. I mean, those guys made some damn good money with one another during that time period. I mean, Dave Batista was the freaking man. I mean, you just could not go wrong with him. I mean, he had a great physique. Girls loved him. Guys wanted to look like him. They rooted him on. Kids definitely were in his favor. But you know, the way Batista was back then, he always kind of catered more towards the older group. And when I say the older group, definitely the 18 and up. He really kind of catered more towards those, not necessarily the little kids. You know what I'm saying? I think if you were going to go the kids route, maybe 9 and up could appreciate a guy like Batista, but definitely the older teenagers and up, you know, they could appreciate a guy like him back then. And to see where things had went off with him as he became a heel, and he just had that whole spotlight on me thing going on. I mean, just some badass shit that Dave Batista was doing. He was feuding with John Cena for the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, a lot of good times with Dave Batista that first go round in the WWE. He hasn't let it be a secret why he left the WWE, contrary to the reports that was said about his departure over the years, as some, to many, were led to believe that he left WWE because he didn't like what was going on with the current WWE product, as they were going the whole PG route, and he wanted to be more of a badass and everything. In actuality, Batista was dealing with some nagging injuries. He wanted time to rest. And at the same time, he felt that he had reached his fullest potential in the WWE and that it was time for him to test out waters elsewhere. And he really wanted to have a really great bona fide career in Hollywood. You know, and we've seen him do some movies here and there. I mean, ones that definitely stand out in my mind the most, when he did the sequel to The Scorpion King, if I'm not mistaken, that was like direct to DVD. But, you know, when I think about Dave Batista's movie career, I mean, he's done a little bit of C roles here and there, little guest spots, but nothing that really makes you stand out and go, you know, man, that Dave Batista, he's going to have a movie career just like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Nothing of that nature. Remember, we also saw him dip into MMA. I mean, the guy hasn't gotten back into MMA since, after that one victory that he had got in. I remember when we had reported on that MMA fight that he had. If you guys had missed out on it, you guys should check out our review of it, because we actually talked about the entire pay-per-view fight card, the whole MMA event itself, featuring Dave Batista on that event. I'm trying to remember my exact words, but I think I said his debut match was like really lackluster. It wasn't like, put it this way, it didn't live up to the hype. You know what I'm saying? I so was expecting it to go in a different route, like as far as the physicality and the brutality goes, but it didn't go anywhere near there. It wasn't even close, man. It wasn't even close. It came off more like a 30-second exhibition. That's the best way I can describe it. I'm getting sidetracked, but a lot of us were under the impression that maybe Dave Batista was going to be done with the WWE, and then we hear the rumblings that, hey, looks like Dave Batista's going to be coming back to the WWE. Dave Batista kind of shot down those rumors and everything, but then we see something very interesting happen, which was him getting involved in Triple H's Thy Kingdom Come DVD. And so that kind of fueled it up even more, that maybe Big Dave Batista had worked out some type of an arrangement with WWE. Shortly afterwards, we would hear that he did, in fact, sign a deal to return to the WWE. Remember those vignettes that we had saw earlier this year, setting up a Dave Batista return? What was that, in January or whatever of this year? And very excited I was. I was very excited. I'm like, man, yes, Dave Batista's coming back. This is going to be freaking badass. I can't wait for this dude to come back. I was actually like, if anybody's going to be able to add more depth to the WWE roster, if anybody is really going to be able to help out in a big way, Dave Batista will be able to do so. And I just started imagining the different combination of rivalries, matches that we would see him involved in when he would come back. And so I was all for it. I was pumped for it. We see him come back, and you know what? I think the timing, it was just really, really wrong, because he came back at a time where the WWE Universe, they really wanted to get behind Daniel Bryan. They had their beloved CM Punk. And then it kind of seemed like once CM Punk decided to roll out, for whatever respected reasons, everything just seemed like it shifted to Daniel Bryan. And then to have Batista be in that position of, hey, I'm back. I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. I'm going to go on to main event WrestleMania. The WWE fans, they did not like that. And you just kind of got to look at it from their standpoint for a second. Now, I think we all can be in agreement that when folks had first heard Batista was coming back, they were all for it. But then when they saw how WWE was trying to use Batista, basically elevate him to the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, I'm sure a lot of fans were probably like, God damn it, here we go again. Another part-timer taking away a spot from somebody young on the roster. Why the hell do we have to go this route? Not even knowing that in the near future, Dave Batista was going to be wrestling pretty much night in, night out on Raw, SmackDown, main event here and there, working the pay-per-views consecutively. Nobody would have been able to predict that. I damn sure wasn't able to predict that. And you're not going to find anybody else on their respected show that's going to be like, oh, well, I knew Dave. No, you couldn't predict that. You couldn't. So, for Dave Batista to be in the position that he was in, it was a really sticky spot. And I think just the fact that everybody was high on Daniel Bryan, the timing of when Dave Batista came back, I feel it was wrong. If Batista would have been involved in anything else aside from getting into that main event picture for the WWE title, I think the fans would have been all fine for it. Of course, seeing Batista be in that type of a position that he was in, it probably even sparked up the outcry even more amongst fans that, oh, okay, so basically if you're friends with Triple H, you get little special perks, you get special treatment or whatever. I'm sure that argument was probably made, and you know what? Again, I've been a Dave Batista fan for a long time, and, just some of the crap that he went through during his tenure. I mean, he went through the whole ripping from the community on the skinny jeans, the whole Blutista, Bootista. I mean, and look, don't get me wrong, funny shit, but just removing the fact that it's funny for a second, you would think that like this guy was like, I don't know, like the Pete Rose of the WWE, like he's a joke or something like that. And it was just such a weak reception that Batista had got this second go round. Very unfortunate considering that this was a guy who, like, 5 freaking years ago, he was main eventing matches. I mean, he was performing in front of sold out arenas. There was hardly that many people that were booing for him, and when they were booing towards him, it was because he was getting over as a mega heel. Because at one point he was like the number 2 heel in the company. So it's just weird how the times have changed with this new WWE audience and everything. But I think it all just really kind of went back to how Batista was utilized this second go round. And contrary to how many people feel as far as, oh well, Batista, he quit and good riddance. No, Dave Batista has not quit the WWE. He's taken a leave of absence. He's got to go promote this movie that's going to be coming about. And I'm really pulling for Batista and this movie because from what I'm hearing, a lot of movie experts, a lot of comic book fans, they really feel that this Guardians of the Galaxy movie is going to bomb big time in the box office because it's starring a bunch of folks that nobody is familiar with. You don't have like a Johnny Depp. You don't have your Robert Downey Jr. You don't have your Chris Evans in there. You don't have no Samuel Jackson. It's just a cast of unknowns. And pretty much the main thing that Marvel Studios seems to be relying on right now is, oh, well, we can tell you that the cast from Guardians of the Galaxy is going to play a huge part in setting up Avengers 3. So you definitely need to go see this movie because it definitely ties into Avengers 3. That's pretty much the hook right now that you have. I can tell you, every single time that me and Tammy went to go see a Marvel movie in theaters recently, or any movie for that matter, when we would see the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, the only thing that we were interested in was the damn raccoon. We thought that was hilarious as shit. A raccoon on somebody's back and it's just firing a big ass machine gun and all that. We thought that was hilarious. Good little spot right there. But the movie looked really weak, and this is coming from somebody that loves sci-fi. I will watch any episode of Star Trek from whichever. Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, you name it. I'm all over it. I love my sci-fi stuff, but that just looks really, really weak. I'm hoping that it proves the naysayers, including myself, wrong as far as it's not going to do that well in the box office. But normally, history has shown that when you do a movie that features a cast pretty much of a bunch of unknowns, it doesn't really do that well in the box office. So just because you slap Marvel behind it doesn't mean it's going to be a money maker. If it is going to be a success in the box office, then it's really going to come down to word of mouth from the people that see it to help really get the buzz out and tell others and encourage others to go see that movie. That's kind of why you saw that little bit of a jab that Triple H had did to Batista, as far as, yeah, go on ahead, run back to Hollywood, and he said something like, your Marvel movie's gonna bomb or something like that. He said something to that effect. Can't remember his exact words right now, but I really hope that when Batista gets ready to come back to the WWE, I really hope that Triple H and crew, they really sit down and they do Batista justice. I think it's fucked up how he rolled out, by the way. I mean, he rolled out with no pop, no sizzle, no cliffhanger. It was just pretty much, fuck you, bye. I liked his first go round when he got ready to leave and he had the arm sling on and he was in the wheelchair and microphone and all that, shades and all that, and how he just quit right there on his. That was like, whoa, that was awesome. That was a great segment. What we saw this past Monday was weak as hell, And I'm really hoping that's not the last burning image that we see of Batista. I'm sure that when this guy had signed for this new deal, which is believed to have been for 2 years, I'm quite sure that he said to himself, you know what, I want to end my WWE career on a high note, especially if I'm going to be able to go into the Hall of Fame eventually. And no doubt, he's going to be a future Hall of Famer. Whether some of you guys like it or not, he's definitely going to be a future Hall of Famer. But, just seeing how things had ended up pretty much this past Monday, if you were to just sum up the past 6 months of Dave Batista's return in the WWE, it's been a big old ball of shit. Really hasn't nothing been accomplished out of it. On the plus side, I can say that Dave Batista, he worked those shows. He did Raw, he did Main Event, he did SmackDown, he worked those pay-per-view events for a guy 45 years old. He worked them damn things. And I definitely give him a lot of respect for that because we see guys like Chris Jericho, RVD, other cats come in there, and it's like, okay, I'm only going to do this, and then 2 weeks later, I'm going to do this, and I can work about 3 months straight, and then after that, I need to be off for about 6 months. So I give Batista credit for going in week in, week out, and everything like that. But you know what? I hope when he does get ready to come back to the company, him, Triple H, Vince McMahon, maybe Michael Hayes, Pat Patterson. I hope all those guys like really sit down with Dave and they try to figure out what's the best way they can utilize him. Lay it out months in advance if even possible. You know what I'm saying? But trust me, when he does come back, I have a strong feeling they're going to do that man justice. What's your thoughts about Dave Batista's last run in the company this go round? You can sound off by hitting us up on Twitter at the RCWR Show, Facebook at Infinity One Productions, and what we just discussed on here will be made into a special excerpt on YouTube. So I gotta make sure I get in that little plug for YouTube. Make sure you guys post those comments down below.